So what's up, YouTube family? This is Brian from Graham's Farms. It's kind of cold today, extremely windy. Got a north wind. This is probably one of our coldest days of the year so far. It's supposed to get down in the 20s, so you can see I'm kind of working in my feed shed slash tool shed slash work shed, whatnot. Basically where we store our feed and our tools and stuff. We generally work outside if it's not cold or raining. I'd much rather be outside. But you can kind of see a little bit of what I'm working on here today. You can guess what that is. It's an old wood burning cook stove. I picked this up at a bargain online, found it on Facebook Marketplace. Needed some TLC. It had a crack in the firebox that me and my dad welded up good enough that I'm going to put some stove cement on it and get it sealed back up good. And I've been taking part of it apart, and I really wish I'd have documented that through video, but I didn't. That's before I kind of got back into working on my channel. But what I'm going to show you today is some of these more rusty pieces that's just raw iron. You can see I'm kind of fastening some handles for some of this stuff. And what I'm going to do today is definitely not something I'd suggest for most of you to try at home, but I'm going to mix up a solution of lye and water, which will eat the rust away. And then once the rust is gone, you take the lye out and you put in baking soda a few days later to help neutralize the lye. And it cleans the metal, makes it where it's a lot easier to clean up and paint. I'm not really looking for a showpiece. This is going to be something I plan to use on a homestead. Just kind of in our preparations for if something happens. Someday I need to cook without power. And also because I've always wanted a wood burning cook stove. It's really not going to fit in our mobile home, and I'm not sure that our insurance company would allow it anyway. I'm hoping to kind of fasten it up in a spot on our porch where it'll be kind of out of the weather. Maybe I can cover it up when we're not using it. Take a piece of pipe out and get a cover on it, and then just stick a piece of pipe back in and use it as we want to. Anyway, I'm going to continue to fasten some handles, and when I kind of get done with that, I'll show you all the pieces as I put them in the solution, and we'll talk more through that in a minute. Alright, so you can see I've kind of got all my pieces hung and a way to grab them without sticking your hand in, except for this one. And as you can see, it has gotten hot over the years and burned out. So what we'll try to do is lay that in just under the top, and that way we can reach in with some type of tool and get it out. But don't want to get that in there where you can't retrieve it, because you cannot stick your hands in this lye solution. It will eat your fingernails away, and I mean, it's kind of like an acid or an alkaline. It'll really cause some damage. So you really want to be careful with that. Kind of give you a little more of a look at the stove. You can see it's got a small crack right here. I have debated trying to fix that. I've got the back kind of taken apart right now, and the base is sitting outside. But we'll get it in here once we get this done and cleaned up and painted and ready to go and work on the base. And then here is the bed rack, or whatever you want to call it, goes on top. And I've got the tank that goes in the hot water dispenser. The valve's actually in the tank itself, but it's still got the water drain valve and everything in it. When we get this thing put back together and cemented back tight, it ought to be a working cook stove that we can use for years to come if you take care of it. So I'm going to get my water put in my container and get it where I want it to be so that I can start putting my lye solution in and getting it dissolved. This container I'm using was a open feeder for our honeybees, and since we got our top high feeders, we don't use that anymore. And instead of using one that had stuff stored in, having to empty it and clean it up and try to get it put back together, this one's probably going to trash when I'm done. So I've got a lid for it, and it's going to be in the barn, so no harm and no chance of the chickens getting in it and whatnot. But I'm going to fill it up with water and get it where it's going to stay until I'm done with it, so that I don't take a chance of spilling this lye on me or anything else that I care about or trying to keep, because it will cause some damage and eat things up. So while that's filling up, I was going to show you, here's the place we had to weld. You can see it bowed out enough to break. I'm going to seal that back with cement. We welded it so that it'll hold. I'm not sure how well I can get this where we can see that. That is the firebox that I was telling you that had the crack in it that my dad helped me nickel rod, and then I'm going to actually go to the inside and put some cement down through that crack just to kind of help seal it in case it has a leak. And you see everything's still intact. And here is where the ashtray goes, and I'm going to probably end up and take this thing to the car wash and try to wash all the loose ash and loose metal out before we oil it up and get a good fire in it and try to make it working again. Anyway, well, I'm going to go check on my water, and I'll be right back in a few minutes. So I put this piece in just to kind of see how my tote was going to work before I put the lye in. That's the biggest piece I've got. You can see it fits. I had to drain some of my water out. You can see it was going to be too messy to try to get somewhere to dump when I got done or to clean up. So I tried to empty it down where it'd make it a little easier to get out. And now we're going to mix our lye. And I'm going to leave that in there and kind of use it to stir my lye with. And then I'll put my other pieces in gently. And I'll show y'all that process when we get ready. So this is our lye. And he said put about half of this in here. Like I say, be real gentle. You do not want to get this stuff on you. I can't stress that enough. This stuff is highly corrosive. And so I've actually turned out to be a little bit more than half. You can see I kind of got it all up on this. We'll just kind of rock this back and forth and let it stir that lye up, and you can see it's already eating away at that rust and turning that water dark. And pulling this up, you can see where that's already turning black. Cast, a clean cast generally will hold a black color. Like I say, you do not want to get this on you. And if you do, you want to get to some baking soda and clean water quickly, because it don't matter what it is, it's going to eat it up. Like I say, you can see how fast it's already eating away at that rust. So, I'm going to drop a few other pieces in here. I'm not going to be able to get everything that I wanted to in here at one time. It's going to take a couple different sets of rinsing, but we'll be able to reuse this same tub, and we'll get another tub for our baking soda water for neutralization. For a couple reasons. For one, it's going to be hard to get all this in here and submerged all at one time, as you can see. And then get all these hangers and hooks hooked to where you can get this stuff back out. So it may even take us 3 or 4 times. I'm not in a big hurry. I've had this stove now for, I don't know, 6 months or so. I knew it would end up turning into more of a wintertime project for me. I'm just usually too busy in the summer and don't have as much going on in the winter. I don't want to say don't have things going on, because the goats still need fed and watered and cared for, but I mean, we've not got young babies and whatnot this time of year to have to take care of. And with everything going on in the world, it's not like we're traveling or attending any events, or mainly just watching YouTube, working on the farm when I'm not working at my job. But that's really it for now for this project. I do have one more thing while I was out getting some stuff for this project that I found that I was going to show you right quick. So I'll try to get that set up and show you that for just a second. And then we'll get off here, let you enjoy the rest of your day. So this is what else I was going to show you. You can see it is an all-American canner. These canners do not use a gasket. They are considered top of the line, very expensive canners. You can still buy them new today. You can see this one is showing its age. It's probably a few years old. I don't know how many years old, but you can tell it's probably not been taken really great care of. But I'm going to try to clean it up, put a new gauge in it, and then we'll pressure on it and see what else it's going to need. I know it's also going to need some new safety locks that goes in these little tabs, but all that stuff's available through All American. So if you get a chance to pick one of these up at a yard sale or junk store like I did this one, I actually was in an antique shop trying to find some parts and pieces for this old stove and run across this thing, kind of throw it away in a corner. You know, antique shop. They really didn't need a pressure canner, and not many people in the world today looking for them, and sure don't know the difference between one from Walmart and an All-American pressure cooker. So they didn't know what they had. I asked him what he wanted for it, and he told me $20. And so I was like, okay, I think I can use it for that. And I smiled all the way home. Anyway, so that was the rest of what I was going to tell you. And also going to tell you, if you're into prepping or preparing for the unknown or whatever the case may be, a couple things that's pretty crucial is you got to be able to eat. So you need a way to cook without power. You got to be able to preserve food. So you need a way to can it. And for low acid foods, you got to be able to pressure can. So pressure canner is super important. The wood cook stove is super important. A good water source is super important. And a source of protein until you can get your homestead set up. So I highly recommend packing away beans, dried beans, maybe in 5-gallon buckets with dry seal packs or whatever the case might be. Even maybe some ramen noodles for energy and such, for starches or anything with a shelf life that you can vacuum seal. Flour and stuff for making gravy and bread. You can vacuum seal that stuff, put it down in a bucket. Helps keep the mice out. The vacuum seal helps keep the bugs out. Really make that stuff last a long time. I know that's on a lot of people's mind today. And then buy some kind of survival seed pack or general garden collection or whatever you can find. So you've got some seeds to start a garden in some capacity. And then you can always trade something you have excess for with somebody else that was smart enough to prepare, that maybe has something you don't have, and they have some, and you need something that they don't have, and so you can trade and bargain until you grow your operation or your homestead to the point that you can actually survive. But always remember, you've got value and skill in your knowledge and labor if you don't have anything else. Thank y'all. Thanks for watching. If you found any value in the video, hit that like button, subscribe if you've enjoyed watching the channel, and the main thing, share with your friends.